There was just something magical about that era of Saturday morning cartoons. And I don't know about the rest of you, but when I went on the playground and had to sort of makeshift role play things as a kid, I always insisted on being the good guy. I always wanted to be my hero that I idolized and felt was the epitome of awesomeness, coolness, pureness, whatever you, however you choose to coin it. And it just was not fun being the bad guy as a kid. And I'm not sure what it is, but for whatever reason, I kind of feel like the bad guys have aged really well as we've gotten a little bit older. And that's what we're here to discuss today. But once again, hi everyone, my name's Ken. This is a Toy Connections online live stream, or TKO, and it's actually a bonus episode here, sort of midweek on hump day, middle of hump day. So I had the day off and figured, let's go online, see who happens to show up. And I've got a couple of friends waiting backstage, so they're going to come in and weigh in on this exact same topic about the villains and how we like them now as well as back then. So I'm going to throw on my good buddy here who, well, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, actually, both their channels are in the description below, but I've been on his channel a bunch of times for some late streams. He's always great with bringing us toy news, toy hunts, toy insights, a master of, well, I was going to say jack of all trades, master of none, but I kind of consider him a jack of all trades, master of everything. So let's let him speak for himself. Mega J Retro, welcome back to TKO.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it. How do you top that intro? Like that's crazy. And I got to tell you, I am absolutely a master of none. I have mastered nothing in my life. So I'm still a student of everything. But thank you for the kind words. How are you today, Ken?
I'm good, and glad to hear that you're in a good mood today. And I did, tried to make it not too early today because I know, you stream into the night sometimes. And last time I got you on, it was before lunchtime, your time. And I'm like, I'm going to do this one well after lunch. But
totally, you know what? It's better than that 9 a.m. stream you had me on the first time. That was
11:30 your time. But
I know, but that was.
But yes, it was like 9 a.m. my time. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that to Mega G again. I'll at least put it back to 12:30 earliest, I think, if I have you on again in the future.
It's all good. So. It's all good. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. I'll come on anytime you need me.
I'm so glad, and that's why I come on some of your late streams. I'm like, I should be in bed, but he'd get up early for me, so I'll stay up late for him. So,
it's all good. It's all good.
And our other buddy here, you can catch him every single week on Toy Geeks Alive on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I always got to readjust the time zones here. He's got a great San Diego Padres podcast if you happen to be in baseball, and he's the sort of owner, operator, host / co-host of Geek Dad Life and Geek Dad Life 2. Jay from GDL, welcome back to TKO.
Hello everybody. Happy Wednesday. So honored to be here with such fine gentlemen. And Mega J, I would say you are a master of all, and I was the master of none. But you beat me too.
Well, you two can sort of I don't want to say fight for the title, but I think both of you are kind of shunning the title aside. So
I got
it's all good.
My turnbuckle is my weapon. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna utilize that turnbuckle, get into that corner, and it's hump day today, so we're gonna hump it all. I mean, you know what we're talking about. You know what we're talking about.
Hold on, I got you. That's what she said.
Yes,
there we go. The Freudian slips everywhere. It's gonna happen a lot today.
Sorry, that was a goal of mine, was to get the "that's what she said" thing on, and I did not realize that wasn't attached to your, or is it attached to your StreamYard?
No, it's attached to my board. I got it's with me always.
Oh, I wondered. Perfect. Well, feel free to do that and do your Tears for Fears shout it all out thing that you do sometimes.
Oh yeah, I got plenty. I even got this one that I don't know if I've done this one yet, but it's my mistake one. So when we make a mistake, when we bought something we shouldn't have bought,
I've made a huge mistake.
Never heard that one yet. So
I don't think I've gotten to use that one yet. I got them in here.
And for those who may not know what we're talking about, on Toy Geeks, Geek Dad Jay has always got these sound bites that he pulls up in the middle of the stream. Either "that's what she said" or "I got family" or something. Whenever a new member joins. But speaking of members, speaking of people who made it here on this special hump day, I wasn't actually sure people would be in the chat, but we got some people here, so we'll just say a quick hello. Gazz, good to see you. TJC, good to see you here as well. We got Nolan, All right, we got Kayla Silva. Who else we got here? Just scrolling. We got Manic Plastic Toy Shop. And we got a few other people here. Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. I thought I saw your name here. So, all right. And highly articulated, middle of his workday, but he's managed to join us. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess midday hump day kind of works. I wasn't sure that it would, but all right.
I think both Mega J and I have proven, just throw it out there and people will show up. It's going to be somebody's time to come on and watch something online.
It amazes me. It really does amaze me how many people actually like tune in from work, tune in from lunch, tune in from, or in some cases tune in from dinner, or are still half asleep and said, "Oh my God, I just saw a notice on my feed, and you guys are on. You guys are crazy." And it's like, yeah, well, we're kind of like that.
And
yeah, you're right.
And that's why everybody watches, right? If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon.
Exactly.
So you never miss it.
That's right. Definitely subscribe to Toy Connections, guys. Great channel. You guys will not be disappointed.
I appreciate that, gentlemen. And yeah, it's just the way it is sometimes. Like when Mega J streams kind of late, I'm like, oh, you know what? Everyone's asleep. I can kind of just pay attention to this or impromptu jump on because he likes to send those invites, and I am loath to say no. Once I, actually it's more like I go, oh, it's a bit late. I shouldn't. Let me turn the camera on and see what happens, and then have a blast and stay till the wee hours of both our mornings, and I just don't regret it. Even though I tell myself I need more sleep, I never regret it. And for Toy Geeks as well, it's one of those things that like it starts about an hour before my dinner time, but I always manage to get in that first hour, and sometimes I miss the Stump John segments, but it's fun to. I look forward to that one every week because I know exactly when it's going to be on. So
yeah, that's kind of like that's the North Star. There's going to be at least Sunday nights at 9, and then we go until after dark closes, usually at midnight. So there's that, and there's just the random stuff in between whenever.
Sunday's a little bit of a marathon for you, but
it is. But it's fun. I like the breaking it up between two shows because it's two very different things. One's very, presentation polished, and then After Dark's like, woo, we did it. All right, let's just hang out and shoot the shiz for.
Well, yeah, because that one's on your Patreon, so like your patrons get to see it. The one time that I jumped on, like
yeah.
That's right. Like you folks asked the question, and I sort of just let my hair down and unleashed. And then I clipped that 30 seconds and showed it to some of my friends. It was because I think you and John asked the question about how do you feel about all the reactions you're seeing on what was it? Was it the Ghost Rider car? And I went on this whole side rant about every time I hear about the Ghost Rider car, it's like people are beating this dead horse. They're digging up the dead horse. They're killing it again, burying it again, killing it again, burying it again. And yeah, that's right. And then like I showed some of my friends just that like 30-second clip, and they're like, "Gee, Ken, tell us what you really think when you let your hair down and wash your makeup off." And
Stop it. He's already dead.
That's basically it, right? So Kayla Silva says, Ken unleash new show name for that would be a great After Dark.
Be a great show name.
Yeah,
oh my God.
You know what? Ken, I think ways to kind of expand your Patreon. Ken Unleashed. That's like the Ken Unfiltered. What are your true thoughts?
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's what I like about After Dark is, and I like to, and Mega J, we're gonna have you on sometime, just like, hey, do you want to go have Mad Hatter or whatever? Like, just come, and it's not, not everybody in the world can watch it. It's a little bit more personal,
Yeah, always happy to add the commentary, but it's always a great time being on with you guys. You guys are amazing, and I love this community. This community is so great, so generous. And another way to interact with them, Ken, definitely go ahead, like tell us how you really feel, Ken. Like really, is that how you felt, Ken? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think people think Ken's this like sweet Canadian, but there's a fire there.
I did put up a bit of a Patreon rant last week because I went through some stuff, and rather than like just going to the car and screaming my lungs out with and just going for a drive where no one can hear me, I was like, that might not be the safest thing. Let me just record a quick statement. And a couple of the patrons were like, it's okay, Ken, it's okay to have a bad day. And I'm like, okay, good. It's good to know, because like you're like you want to put your best self out there when you're doing these things live, and you don't want to be dishonest or disingenuous, but you also don't want to regret putting something out there later on, that you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, you know?
Yeah.
So
I feel that a lot too, where it's like I had that with the last wave of TMNT Ultimates that I'll review on the channel. Like I waited almost a month before I posted that video because there was just like, I want to make sure I'm not just ranting for 10 minutes. I want it to be constructive, and because I'm frustrated, but I don't want to seem like I'm just ranting so it won't be listened to, you know? So I totally get that. Mega J, do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel like you have to like, I'm pissed, but I need to like be constructive, so I'm going to.
So yeah, the thing about being on YouTube, right, is and it's been happening lately, especially with certain comments, right? But it's not that I feel that I need to. It's just something that I always do anyway.
Yeah.
I've never actually gone, off tangent and just like, been supremely pissed off at no reason whatsoever. I find that when I go live, I always measure myself, only because you know what, I don't want people getting the wrong impression, and then all of a sudden you get, and I hate to say it this way, let's just put it out there. There are people who love to attack you because you said something, right?
Oh,
So
sure, yeah.
you have to measure yourself to a certain degree. And again, this is YouTube. It's a public forum, and whatever you say is always going to be able to come back to you, and that's what you got to watch out for. So yeah, all the time.
And that's why I feel like we're a great group of people to talk about evil villains, because they won't care.
Bam! There you go. And you two have been doing this a bit longer, or quite a bit longer than me. Like, I'm still getting used to the whole somebody being like, you said that thing I didn't like, and I'm like, no, you interpreted it the wrong way, but I'm sorry you feel that way. Maybe I shouldn't be, because you're gonna hold this against me anyway, kind of thing. Like, I get that in the comments sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know what, maybe I should detach a little and not feel responsible if somebody didn't like something I said in the comments section or something. It's like,
it's a rule of thumb: don't engage like in comments. It's kind of like, don't engage in YouTube comments. So I generally just like only engage with, like, if you're being positive, or even if it's constructive, I'll say, thank you for constructive feedback or whatever. But if someone's just being a jerk, then I just ignore it.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
And I actually ended up, and this is just really quickly, I actually ended up going the complete opposite. I actually stopped commenting at all, and
Really?
it has, in my opinion, Ken, and I'll anybody who's an aspiring content creator, engage with the audience, regardless of which way you do it. If it's going to be here on live streams or some other fashion on your other social medias, do whatever you have to. On YouTube specifically, definitely engage, regardless of if you want to or not. I ended up in a situation where there were a lot of like negative comments and just hurtful comments, and it really just turned me off from commenting.
Yeah.
And it came up to the head just like a few weeks ago, when I got a lot of messages from people who were saying, you don't bother commenting, like why should I take time out of my day to reply? And I realized, after discussing it with several people, that it's not fair. It's not fair to those people who took 5 minutes out of the day to say, this is awesome, your video is great, at the very least. And people have reminded me, just give it a heart, just give it a thumbs up. If that's the minimum that you can do, then that's the minimum you can do. I've even started a segment now where I literally take about 2 or 3 hours on live stream and just answer all my comments from the past week. It's become something that I'm doing now. You guys can check it out. I did one last night. People were like, you're still up?
Yeah. I saw part of your one from like 2 videos ago. So yeah, and some people don't like I know Bobby Skullface says he used to never respond to comments. I'm not sure if that's changed. That was a number of years ago. And yeah, Kayla, you mentioned Toy Anxiety and Mad Hatter. Actually, they send their condolences. Hatter said it's the middle of his work day and he couldn't make it on. I tried to get him on. Dole said it's in the middle of his work day, but I did try to get the whole greater community on here. So both of them send their condolences about being unable to make it today. Otherwise, well, we might have had an extended stream. So we
need to set up like actually our NC ToyCon is on the schedule for September 30th. So I'm putting a date out there. You both are cordially invited. I know it's probably really hard to come out to Raleigh, North Carolina, but if you could make it, you would be welcome. Maybe we have like an in-person thing. But again, no pressure.
It would be so great if we could organize a meetup somehow. I mean, like I know gaming channels do it a lot. When they pick a convention like Magfest or something like that, and all of them trying to just have one huge meetup and everybody hangs out, and it's really really cool. And it's also really fun. I haven't gotten into it exactly yet, but I have sold at conventions. I know Jay, you've done a couple of little tables as well, but it would be something kind of cool as well if somehow we can con our way into getting invited. That would be awesome, and then we can get like industry tables and stuff like that. That would be still much fun.
That'd be awesome. And Jay, are you planning to expand NC ToyCon there in Raleigh, like to make it a bit bigger?
We got a bigger location. That was the biggest thing because in terms of vendors, we maxed out vendors for our previous location, and it would have been full to the max. And then because of COVID, they reduced the amount of stuff they would allow in their building. And understandably so, but it meant we were kind of without a venue. So then it became trying to find a new venue. And we finally found a spot that's bigger. I think it's a better spot. And it's in downtown Durham, North Carolina, which is there's lots of places to eat, a lot of hotels, a lot of parking. So I'm pretty pumped. I think that the Toy Anxiety peeps are planning on coming.
Awesome.
So I'm going to send it out to all of us to come. But yeah, it basically, we'll have some of the best toy vendors in North Carolina will be there selling toys. So.
Yeah, the part of the reason I ask is because as Delta 17, the new O-ring line that Steve is launching, my buddy Steve is launching with, I'm kind of on board as creative writer sort of thing for that line. If I could convince him to come down to Raleigh, I'd be able to maybe set up shop there and pump the new O-ring line that we're working on. So, cool. But he'd have some questions about okay, well, how is this different from other shows? And I just want a better answer than, well, Jay's a buddy, and I want to meet some people. So.
We'll get some more particular details. But September 30th, Durham, North Carolina.
You see, Jay's revealing his evil nature by promoting the convention here on Toy Connections.
Was that your Skeletor? Was that your Skeletor? I was just. You know what? Speaking of which, let's maybe I should begin the roundtable here because we the three of us could shoot the breeze for hours and totally lose the time and be like, whoops, it's dark outside. What's going on?
And you seemed worried, like when your message was like, "Oh, I can't get so and so." I was like, "We got this." Like Mega J, we'll be fine. We can talk about anything. Like,
yeah. You know what it is? Most of my TKOs, there's like a perfect quartet on screen.
Okay.
But then you know what? I realized not everything is See, this is what I mean about like still kind of getting used to it. Like I started going live about 6 months ago, so I'm still in that like while I'm not a rookie YouTuber anymore, I'm still a rookie live streamer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, it's still one of those things where it's like, just let it play out, Ken. Like, stop getting everything to like this perfect formula. And, you put your right foot in, you put your right foot out. You may not get the hokey pokey every single time, but that's what it's all about. So, that was a terrible joke, but whatever.
No, I get it. It's like live streams are like a stew, you just kind of put in the different things and you let them, cook for a little while and it makes whatever it makes. And it's going to be cool.
Highly articulated knows he's about 4 hours north of me. He knows I worry about literally anything and everything. So it's sort of like,
if you're worried about the symmetry, do the big screen thing and then have like two small screens and you can kind of rotate who's talking or something like that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Nobody
got
wants to see my face. Come on.
Do you do the big ones, the bars? Like you have the three big bars.
Oh, like this.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah. That works. That works. That works too. But I gotta.
He's got to flex.
But both of you, like this, we can't see what's behind us as well. Like this, not just me. This is an all of us kind of thing. So
sure, yeah. This is a mess. This is a mess. Yours Ken is so nice and neat.
Yeah, mine's a mess.
Well, it's really packed tightly though, because like as I buy more stuff just gets shoved tighter together. So, yeah. So I did that blurb at the beginning about how have bad guys gotten cooler as we got older, and I kind of wrote that as my first agenda question. Like, as we get older, are bad guys just cooler? Mega J, let's get your initial thoughts on this.
You're just gonna throw me under the bus.
Better you than me.
I didn't study. You sent me those. Jay, I don't know about you, but I got this list of questions that I was like, I'm not gonna read this. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I didn't read it either.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate to
You know
break
what?
it, but-
I keep forgetting how experienced both of you are, because whenever I have somebody who is their first time, they're like, "Can you send the questions ahead of time and not put me on the spot?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I wrote them all. I sent it to both of you kind of at the same time. Then I thought they're both gonna wing it anyway. Like
Yeah.
I could send a question that's very specific, and then come here ask a completely different question, and neither of you will be taken off
It's all
guard.
good. I like surprises, and I find it's more engaging that way.
I agree.
So how they become more interesting. It's funny when you're a kid. Things have changed a lot. Okay, but when we were kids, I'll put it in that. So there was a pretty, at least in cartoons and stories, there was really a predefined notion of what good and evil is. I mean, like you can go to Sunday school, you can go, you can your pastor or your leader of whatever faith you are in, they would define pretty much clearly what good and evil was, and cartoons sort of did that same thing, because I think a lot of cartoons wanted to tell you, be on the straight and narrow, don't deviate, this kind of idea. But they also realized the kids were kind of what's it called, impressionable, right? So when I looked at Megatron, or when I looked at Cobra Commander or Destro, or Tex Hex, or any of these crazy villains that would show up on the screen, I knew immediately. I recognized the ideas, the character designs as well, and the way the toys were designed. I knew that this is inherently a bad guy. What I didn't really understand at the time was the idea of Shades of Grey, right? That Megatron could actually be trying to save his own people, right? I didn't realize that as a kid. As you and let's be honest, what's it called? A Transformers movie did not do Megatron any favors. He had a bloodlust in that movie. Like he was like murdering Autobots like crazy. How have they changed? I'll be honest with you. I do have an admiration for someone like Megatron. Sympathetic characters, like for instance, Cobra Commander. His fate in G.I. Joe the movie, that was just brutal. You know what I mean? Like
Worse than death, if you ask me.
in a lot of ways.
Is anyone else getting an echo?
I can hear an echo.
Okay.
I can try. I'll check my. I'll check my.
Let me check
audio
mine
setting.
as well. So, but keep going.
I've got echo canceling on it. But yeah, the thing
there we
is,
go. We're good.
yeah, the thing is that I think just especially today, a lot of characters in children's cartoons and even popular media, they're written with a bit of gray in them. You know what I mean? Like intentionally, because I think there's been a lot more sensibilities in today's media, where people realize that people do things for reasons, not specifically because they're just inherently evil. Like nobody's a true psychopath in today's writings, right? Whereas when we were kids, yeah, Tex Hex didn't care, man. He would come to Fort Curium and he would destroy that place just to get 2 pieces of little Curium. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. But there's an endearing quality to villains. A lot of people criticize the first couple of Batman films, particularly Michael Keaton, for being overcast by his entire rogues gallery. You know what I mean? And that happens a lot. So you could say, but there's the thing. Villains seem to be a little bit more interesting because certain heroes are pretty much straight and narrow. Captain America. It really is one of those situations where a lot of people want to find some flaws in heroes, and let's just say it, villains have flaws all over the place. People love Starscream. Starscream is one of the most popular characters ever. Why? Because he is such a flawed character, and in recent years, he's become very endearing to people. Look at Loki. Loki's just crazy right now. Super, super popular.
Well, they wanted to create that sniveling, annoying villain. And instead, they, over the years, it became an endearing type of character you could relate to, right? I don't know, Mr. Geek Dad Padres, Jay, anything to add to that?
No, I do think it is just a shift in. One, as a kid, to your point, like there is a more line of just like good and bad, and depending on what kid you are, I think for all three of us, we may have been more on the, I don't want to be bad, I gotta be good, or I don't want to lose any presents from Santa this year or whatever. Because I was like, I need every toy I can get. But I think as we get older, we can look at those characters like Skeletor or Megatron, and they're just campy. They're like campy fun. And so I think it's not so much that we're more into evil characters. I think we just have a greater understanding of what true evil is versus like campy evil. And campy evil's fun. Like Skeletor is fun. Because it is so absurd, or so like his lines and everything, and
sniveling, and
yeah, and so like I think you just appreciate that more, or you appreciate the designs of them. Where for Motu, the designs for bad guys are so much cooler than the good guys. So much more color and variety. It just pops more. So, I think talking about that gray, or understanding the gray that is present in all things in life, we can appreciate the things that make the bad guys cool. They generally have the cooler vehicles, the cooler colors. I love me some purple. And yeah, and the campiness of it. Like all the bad guys from our youth are generally really campy, and I freaking love it.
It's funny because like I think maybe cosplay has helped. Like how many people love cosplaying as Darth Vader, Skeletor, Cobra Commander, Destro.
Sure, yeah.
Shredder helmet on.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, like, Shredder is a bumbling idiot. Cobra Commander is a bumbling. Like, they're not good bad guy like this. So I don't know. I kind of get joy in them being thwarted all the time, because they're honestly terrible. Like, if you were a good bad guy, you would just kill the good guys, like episode 1, and then there would be no show anymore.
Well, like look at Power Rangers, right? Like how many times did Rita and Zed try to take over the world, and like nothing. Like the only thing that they destroy are like abandoned buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Literally every single episode is like, and nobody died because nobody got hurt because it was all abandoned buildings. And for the TV show, I think that was important. In the comics and like later releases of fiction, some of these bad guys were evil, like the comic version of Cobra Commander,
sure,
or Megatron, or the original comic version of Shredder. Skeletor, not everyone likes Revelation, but he was more of a bastard, if I can say that, or
sure,
Thanos,
Yeah. It's interesting how, okay, so when I was younger, I loved Cops and Robbers. I love that property. Such a great series. I picked up the comic book almost a year before the TV show came out. The toys came about a few months later, because you get toy comic tie-in, right? Just like G.I. Joe and Transformers. And BP Vess literally gets killed. He practically dies in the first issue, right? Like McBoom Boom comes in and shoots like holes in him, like literally, right? And the reason he had to get bulletproof is because that was his life support unit, right? He used it as a it just doubled as an actual shield. But the reality is that's his entire torso is like his life. He's got a new heart. He's got lungs. He's got again. He was killed. He was literally. It was a hit. It was an actual hit. In the TV show, he was hanging onto a car or a truck or something like that, and it crashed into a building. Right. And then basically he had an operation, and McBoom tried to kill him again. That's the crazy thing about that, right? But instead he just gets up and says, "I'm bulletproof," and it's like, "Oh yeah, yay!" Saturday morning, awesome, right? This is the funny thing about being a kid. But I found that, especially with Marvel, because and DC in this case it was DC, having those writers, it was more for an adult audience. And it's kind of funny, in the mid shift between the 80s and 90s, the comics code became less and less important to every single comic book company. And as it became less and less important, I remember seeing here in Canada, we have a television station called CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And they did an entire segment, a whole 15-minute expose on how comics were becoming super violent. And one of the imageries that they threw up on the screen was an issue of Green Arrow where a guy was in the jungle and he was strung up like by his hands,
Mhm.
a POW style, and blood was just all over. It was all black, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was like running down his entire body.
Yeah.
And they showed the the innuendo from different characters, like Selena Kyle and the way they're scantily clad and things like that. And they showed, one of the things they also showed was the swimsuit issue, the annual swimsuit issue of Marvel, right? With all the characters, on a distant planet, enjoying the sun and the stars and everything like that. So I find that comics has a more liberal attitude in terms of like what they're allowed to show, whereas there's a very, very strict guideline in which cartoons can show certain things, and that's actually where that comes across. But yeah, that in my mind really stuck out, Cops and Robbers, because I remember I was like, man, if they make this into a cartoon, how are they going to get away with this? Even as a kid, I was actually thinking that in my head. It was crazy.
Yeah, I like, or even Turtles, they killed Shredder in the first thing there, like, and then so yeah, absolutely. A bunch of handsome dudes on the stream.
Yep.
You must be looking at a different stream here. What?
Mega J, take the compliment, okay?
We do.
Always appreciate that, Ryan.
These two guys over here are kind of handsome. I'm kind of like,
you got some good beard game going on, okay? So don't discount. It's
the rat's nest. It's got
yeah, I couldn't. I don't think I could grow a beard if I could. I still have that.
Okay,
speaking of After Dark, I still theorize if I hit puberty properly or not, because if I tried to grow a beard, I could spend 6 months trying to grow a beard and it would look exactly like this.
Oh, don't stop lying. It's your right.
Have you tried commercials for the roller thingies? Like, get like those like derma things that kind of stimulate facial hair growth.
There we go.
You don't have to lie. We know that the your significant other loves the smooth. We know that. We get it.
Okay. Fair enough. I should be more open about
my wife hated this at first, and then I was just like, this is who I am, and you need to get with it. And now she's fine.
It's all in the training, right? So
here's the funny thing about this too. I am going to shave this off, and people who remember me from like 3 years ago, they're going to be like, oh, he's back. And then the others are like, what the heck just happened? Right? You know what I mean? Like, Jay, it's one of those things where what is it? Movember? I think it's Movember.
Yeah. Movember,
yeah. I'm gonna one of these Movembers just passed now, but I'm definitely gonna take it right off and see what happens. We'll see people's reactions. See, and it's gonna be one of those things. I'm like, hey, look, I de-aged like 10 years. Like,
it's the baby face thing that throws me off. The thing I also don't like is usually Movember, or at least it starts to get cold. I mean, you all actually experience real cold, but at least for this San Diegan, it gets cold in North Carolina during the winter. And so I don't like shaving it in November because I'm just like, my face is cold.
I just get used to it. Get the scarf and just go like, winter combat style, winter trooper style. Yeah. Gosh, I was going to share this. When it comes to collecting the villains, right? Because as a kid, you always had to choose when your parents or somebody was buying toys for you. And I tended to like, all right, I have to get the good guy because that's who I'm playing on the playground. So like when I get to do like ensemble, I'm just going to share this on ensemble shot like this, right? I don't know what it is. I get more satisfaction, at least equal, if not more satisfaction to showing like this rather than like the good guy masters.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, you wanted He-Man, maybe you got Skeletor, right? But you probably chose, maybe, your mileage may vary, but I chose Orko or Tila over some of the bad guys here. Right? I don't know how you folks felt about that, but
that's kind of what I was mentioning. Like, look at all the color there. You've got orange, you've got light blue, you got purple, you got yellow, you got green, you got red, and all of different varieties. Like, to me, that's where the appeal of villains does come in, because that just is such a more dynamic display than the good guys, which is a lot of like, flesh color and brown and orange. And so and same is true, like, say, Ghostbusters, where I was like, I need my 4 Ghostbusters, and that's who I want. And But I look now at my collections, like the ghosts are kind of the most fun because there's big orange things, yellow, blue. Like it's just, I don't know. There's just something that makes a display more compelling when you put a lot of the villains in there. To your point, Ken, I was much more about getting the heroes as a kid. But in a display, the bad guys really, I think, really make it a compelling display.
Especially with Ghostbusters and Turtles, where there's a quartet, a very specific quartet of good guys that are absolutely mandatory.
Yes.
Right. And like with Ghostbusters, like after Stay Puffed, because Slimer is a good guy unless you count Green Ghost from the first film.
Yeah.
But like, who were really the mandatory bad guys? Because Sam Hain didn't come out till much later.
Sam Hain wasn't even part of the canon line. He didn't come till the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Extreme, yeah. And then like I think third party wise, you can get the Boogeyman now, but it's hard to get, the I mean, I don't know, like it was just more intuitive to go with the good guys.
Designed ghosts, and but really like the play feature of them was really just the companion ghosts. They had a trap, they had some things that would incorporate the little companion ghosts, but to really trap any of the big ghosts, you couldn't really do it. But again, I think it just makes it look really good.
The Boogeyman is the scariest freaking thing I've ever seen in my entire freaking life. When I saw that episode, I had nightmares. Oh my god, those teeth, that hair, the voice. I think the voice is what really got me.
I know you.
Yes.
Don't do that, Jay. The fact that Egon was so scared, like that made me scared. A fully grown man, actually scared out of his mind. That got me, man. And those poor kids, poor little kids, man. Can we like what did they give them? Like $10?
Yeah, I think it's like they had their piggy bank.
I felt so bad. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Villain, especially for Egon, because he's like a man of science, just like what's factual. That this is within the realm of reason and understanding. Like there's nothing that can't be reasoned with science. And to your point, when he's afraid of a thing, it is scary. Absolutely.
It just freaked me out.
Yeah.
As far as this collection goes, let's be honest. Would you rather have Vanilla or Rocky Road? Like seriously, like you said it yourself, Jay. When you look at heroes, it's pretty much a collection of regular people, right? Because these are the people who you want to root for, because you need to relate to those people. And then when you look at a rogues gallery, they're a bunch of freaks. I mean, I'm serious. They're just a bunch of freaks. Look at these guys. You like Beastman, you got freaking Merman, you got Trapjaw, who's just a hodgepodge of different parts. You know what I mean? He was put together by, he took himself apart and put him back together. Like if you really think about the psychological impact on half of these guys and where they come from, you're gonna, man, these guys are messed up. You know what I mean? And series like Revelations really dove into that. Where did Evelyn come from? Like what was her history? And that was kind of messed up the way they wrote that. I mean, Kevin Smith has his day, but that was he wrote it for an adult audience, and that's kind of like, that's a bit too adult for me at this, because a lot of us were jumping into that series thinking, oh, this is going to be Filmation, this is going to be fun. No, it was a complete topsy-turvy on your head. And I think it really did kind of like do that 180 on people. So 180 on people, and they were like, well, this is not my He-Man, right? A lot of people ended up saying something like that, right? But if you take it for what it really is, and it's like this is what we like. Look at it. We're adults now. Look at it this way. It really does take away from that fun in a lot of ways too, right? But if we just take a look at characters the way they are, these guys are a bunch of freaks. Like seriously, and they're so much fun as freaks, because you know what? Skeletor's a bumbling fool halfway through the series, right? He's no longer, the way they write them later is funny, because you know what? They're all making mistakes. They're all flawed. And each of them just needs to be what's it called, morons, because how would the heroes really defeat them if they had really deep, sinister plans? And it just wouldn't be fun. It just would not be any fun.
The guy that can control all animals, or the guy with like cybernetic blaster arms, could easily be a human. So like they have to be bumbling idiots.
So you recognize this name?
Oh yeah. So I also don't. I love Vanilla too, but Skeletor. I haven't had Skeletor, but I'll tell you a low key ice cream flavor. I love Superman ice cream flavor, the legit Superman ice cream flavor. That's a fun one.
Okay, that's fair. That's a little different. Superman, Captain America, you know. Anyway, funny story about this particular collection here. I bought these, like some of them I bought a few years after they were released, and I had to open up sealed ones. But the one that really stung was I got Scareglow in 2019. Right, so it was like 8 years after the release. I buy it sealed, and I know I want it opened. And the guy's like, "I'll sell it to you for like the opened price." And I'm like, "But I still gotta crack the packaging open 8 years after release." And I remember having to like drink some alcohol, get some liquid courage. Speaking of Ken taking stuff too seriously at times, I had to like will up, like Hulk up to try to get Scareglow open. Because it just felt dirty trying to, I did it, but anyway.
You should have put that on camera, because I'm telling you right now, you put that on your channel now. It's like just title it "Opening Up Scareglow" like 20 years later. People will lose their minds.
They would.
Because I did that with my Masterverse versus Classics, where
I remember that.
Sealed Classics figures. Mainly because just happened to be that I found sealed ones, but like I have a sealed Scareglow in my stack. Whenever I can find them, I buy them. So if they do another really cool Scareglow, I'm gonna be opening up a classic Scareglow because it's a good ass figure. It's a good one
for sure. And I just want to stay here. Thanks to I hope I say your name right, Guy Houpe. For the super chat here, says glad we connected. Cool channel. We actually just connected yesterday because he put up some House of the Dragon, some really excellent House of the Dragon videos. So if anyone clicks his name and subscribes, you'll get some really great insights for House of the Dragon type of stuff. And I thought Kayla Silva had invented the nickname for House of the Dragon as Hot D, HOTD, but she did not, because I heard Guy here, or Guy or Guy, let me know how I say your name. He calls it that too. So it's like, all right, cool.
Like I think everybody got to that almost immediately. And then Kayla just tries to, copyright anything that's extra horny. But
yeah, I've noticed that as I got to know her, but it's all good. Yeah, and just with regards to the good guys as well. Sorry, I've just got to change screens here. Like even with the G.I. Joe Classified line, right? Like they're doing things like they're giving us the Red Ninja early in the line, right? They gave us both the Cobra Trooper and the Cobra Infantry. In the line early, whereas back in the day, like the Red Ninja didn't come to like 1993 or something like that. There wasn't a separate infantry versus trooper, Yeah, and Kayla, all right, fine. I just heard you say it first, so I just assumed you were first.
No, Kayla was like going around. She was campaigning that she came up with it. She was making Instagram posts and stuff like that.
Okay, all right. So we can rag on her a little bit because it's kind of fun doing that.
That's okay.
We love you. You're part of the community, Kayla. You're a cornerstone of the community.
Kayla was first. Let's just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at yeah. We'll leave it at that. Right.
So Guy or G?
Guy. I think it's French, like French Canadian. So I picked up on that when I was watching his videos, that he was French Canadian, but I didn't want to be too assuming. So anyway,
I believe it's Guy.
All right, cool. So sorry, just having a good time with the people in the chat here, just because.
Yeah, absolutely, as you should.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a bit about like the leading villains here, the Skeletors, the Shredders, but like, was there like a non-leader, like a henchman that either of you really gravitated towards? Someone who kind of took the spotlight for you over, Geek Dad, I see you in deep thought. Why don't we start with you on this one?
To like,
looking around the room.
Yeah, I'm trying to like remind myself who were, because like there was just, I think a lot of people played this way, right? It was just like everything was a big Marvel crossover event where every every property like played with every property. At least that was for me. So like the Ghostbusters were in on the action, Batman was in on the action, G.I. Joe were in on the action, and so I'm just trying to remember like who my bads were that weren't like the big bads, but I'm still thinking. I know for me it was Tiger Force Duke was he was the head of like the good guys, and then everybody else kind of followed his orders. And then my head bad guy was Vader usually, but I'm trying to think of.
Yeah. Hard to say, right? Because like, you got your Bebop and Rocksteadies of the world.
Yeah.
Your sound waves. It's hard to pick one.
Soundwave. There you go. There you found it. He's my favorite G1 everything. So yeah, Soundwave. That's mine. That's my pick.
Yeah. I don't know. Gazz likes Cliff Dagger from Mask. Gura's PC Glass, new name, likes Firefly. I don't know. What about you, Mega J? Anyone who wasn't a leader that I wanted to say Destro, but he's kind of a leader. So
yeah.
We're specifically talking bad guys though, right?
Oh, like
we'll go bad guys, like supposedly secondary, but henchmen.
No, yeah, but not in the leadership role. You know what? I always thought, and this is just me, because I tend to dwell on stupid things like this, which is a problem for many of us. I always felt that the mutants always got a secondary role in Thundercats after the first season. Like they were pretty much just pushed aside. Like Mumm-ra would use them every now and then, but they really didn't get much focus after that. Like and I always thought that Monkian was just left behind for the most part. I mean, the biggest thing, and this is just to bring it back to toys again, they released these army builder figures for Thundercats. And have we ever seen more freaking mutants after the first episode? They literally all disappeared. Like, what? Like Mumm-ra banished them to the ends of the universe or something. They never came back. Like he opened up that portal and they were gone. You know what I mean? The four mutants were pretty much, and every now and then you'd see Ritaro, you'd see these guys. But realistically, I don't think you ever saw more than one version of Sly's people, like with Sly anymore. But I thought that Monkian, I thought that they should have given him a chance. I mean, they even gave Jackalman an almost leadership idea when he rebelled against the other mutants that one time. He failed miserably, which of course is the reason why we love these villains so much. But I always thought that Monkian should have had a moment to shine. He never did. I think his biggest moment was when he took on the Thunder Tank versus the Fist Pounder in the Thundercats movie, and that's pretty much the biggest thing he ever got in his entire thing. Vulture Man got a big role. Everybody else got a big role. I always thought that Monkian would have had something to do because again, monkeys are closest to humans, right? So I mean, like we're all primates here, aren't we? I don't know. That was just me.
But. Funny story is, I never had a G1 Megatron as a kid. So for me, my leader was always Galvatron. But if I was playing the earlier seasons, right, everything kind of congregated around whichever Secret Jets I had. Like I think I had Dirge and I had Skywarp and Soundwave and Shockwave. So I was kind of like, these are the ones that I had to kind of do with if I didn't have a main leader. And, to the point earlier about Tiger Force Duke, I didn't have the original Duke either. I had Tiger Force Duke. So, and then later on, I got Eco Warriors Flint. So, like, because I missed the 82 lineup of Joe's 83. By the time I got in, it was kind of the late 80s already, because in the mid 80s, I was into He-Man for about a year, give or take. Then it was Transformers, and then it was G.I. Joe. And in there, I squeezed in Ghostbusters. Then I went over to Ninja Turtles. But like, as you got a bit older, you started to be like, okay, I got to get the main bad guy. I got to get the main villain, right? And like these days, I find that lots of people will say that their favorite Transformer is Soundwave, and I'm not sure if that would have. I'm not sure if I didn't realize that was going to age well, because he's a tape deck, and kids these days don't know what a tape deck is, right? But still.
At least for me, I always just felt he was the most opposite or the analog to Optimus Prime because he had the more the covered face.
Yes.
He also kind of, I don't know, he just looked like his profile just looked a lot like a Autobot sticker or something like that. He looked like a Transformer in my mind. I just think his design stands up, and it's just, even if it's a tape deck, which is horribly out of date, that design still just looks so cool. Versus Megatron as a toy, and same, I didn't have Megatron as a kid. And kids probably shouldn't have Megatron as a toy now, but like it's not a very good Transformer. It looks silly. It looks really stupid. So it wasn't until you had Galvatron or like the G2 Megatron that I think you got a menacing or looking like the leader of the bad guys versus the vintage one. There he is right there. He's just a little skinny gun dude. He just doesn't look that menacing at all.
You know, I did my entire history of Transformers 1984 with Megatron mistransformed in robot mode. Like the torso is supposed to pull up, and mine just slid down, and I never even corrected it because it's such a silly looking toy to begin with.
Right.
And it wasn't like nobody commented. Like there was something, I don't know what, there's somewhere between 500 and 600 views on that video. No one says a thing. My best friend from 10 minutes down the road is the one who commented and goes, "You should get that transformation right the next time." And I'm like, you know, Jeff, that's an Easter egg just for you, because I knew you'd catch it. And he's like, okay, fair enough, which totally wasn't an Easter egg. It was a total gaffe on my end, but whatever. We're just gonna roll and ride. Right.
I forgot to mention, K-Dog brought it up here too. He has the best voice in the whole show for Soundwave.
He did.
Yes, K-Dog, absolutely.
You know what? I had Megatron as a kid, and adults being adults, he was a bit too excited, for a while. I mean, you kept pulling his trigger at the wrong moment, and you just get a little too excited. But at the end of the day, I mean, yes, we're talking about Diaclones and Micromen, right? But they, in terms of the whole gimmick with Transformers at the end of the day was the fact that you could actually make a robot out of something that's not a robot, and obviously the robot version is going to suffer a lot. I mean, look at Ironhide and Ratchet.
Yeah,
what are they? They are platforms. They're not even real people. I mean, like, I think what was it called? Hasbro ended up putting stickers in the
there's like a little face sticker.
Yeah, just little facade faces. It was just the most ridiculous thing ever. Soundwave was the best Transformer because he was the most cool looking robot.
Yep.
He looked like a freaking robot. Out of all, you put all the G1 Transformers on a shelf. Who's the one who sticks out? It's going to be freaking Soundwave, because he looks like a robot.
And the articulation.
He's exactly, and he's got the dinkiest head ever. Like it is the smallest, dinkiest head. But that was just foresight at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But before the Dinobots came around, he was the best looking robot ever. Like seriously.
Yep.
And that's actually what stands out in my mind with Soundwave. The other thing is his head is the logo of the Decepticons. They based the freaking logo of the North American Decepticons off of his face.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to be the leader, but the writers said, the Marvel writers basically made Megatron the leader because he's a gun, right? Again, this is the thing about the way our society works, right? It's like, tapes are boring.
The silliest thing, he had to like transform into a little gun that would then be shot or whatever. It was so stupid.
It was so silly in hindsight, and they're like, "Oh, there's like pocket space or whatever that they call it." That they tried to like, mass shifting space is what they called it. And what I always liked about Soundwave is that he was kind of like the foil to Starscream, and you see it very evidently in Transformers the movie when Megatron is laying there mortally wounded. And Starscream just kicks him and is like, "How do you feel, mighty Megatron?" And who does Megatron turn to in his moment of dire need? "Don't leave me, Soundwave." Right? And you see Soundwave carrying Megatron into Astro Train, and Rumble behind him, or Frenzy, depending on how you want to, because people always mix them up, carrying the fusion cannon. Right. And it's just that you see that foil, like the loyalty versus like the Sith apprentice who desires the throne, right, of the Emperor. And that's kind of what Starscream was, right, versus the always loyal servant of Soundwave, right? Even though he does nothing to stop Megatron from being thrown out of the shuttle, and all he has to say is Soundwave superior in that particular scene. So yeah, I mean, look, I just feel that the bad guys, I guess the conclusion of this 55 minutes in is the bad guys have aged well. I can see it and hear it in the passion in everybody's voice and everybody in the chat. Right. So,
yeah, no, they just, a lot of them have cooler designs, and that as you get older, that's probably what wins out, because it's not so much about playing with it, it's about you have it on a shelf and you want it to look cool.
Again, it just really boils down to the idea of, like, vanilla and Superman ice cream. Like, seriously, you need some variety in your life, right? You can't just have the problem with the way a lot of heroes were written back in the day is they were super good. You know what I mean? They did not have any character flaws, right? They really were these pantheons of greatness. You know what I mean? Freaking Zeus and things. But if you look at Zeus, and you look at Heracles, and you look at all these, they're so flawed, and that's one of the reasons why they were so endearing, and so because we could see things about them that we could relate to ourselves, and that's one of the main fallacies of a super heroic character, an infallible character, right? It's impossible. You cannot be infallible as if you're human, or if you are someone with just human tendencies, you're going to make mistakes. And that's actually one of the things about the Filmation cartoon which I enjoyed. I enjoyed the fact that every now and then, even though He-Man again was this pantheon of thing, he did make mistakes eventually, right? A man, someone under his watch, quote unquote, died, right? And that weighed so heavily on him in that episode that he gave up the power, right? And he was humble enough to give up that power. It's those episodes that Lou Scheimer and all the writers there made that really endeared. Those are the ones that really stuck in my head. The ones that really meant something, right? Like the quest to save He-Man's best friend. You know what I mean? Because he was bitten by a poisonous beetle. And He-Man literally traverses the entire northern hemisphere to try and get this one route, then comes back, but still has time to save a dragon from a spider. These are the things that really endear yourself to the good guys.
Sure.
But you're always going to remember the bad guys because they always come up with these wacky ideas of taking over the world, right? And again, they're just so colorful, and that's really, for me, that's what happens with bad guys. I don't know. That's
100%. I mean, look, struggling to find the exact the exact words here, but like, because you touch on a few things there, such as the hero being flawed, because like the bad guy starts flawed, right? But seeing the good guy get completely flawed, and I know some people here talk a bit about the UK Marvel comic run. Like there was a character there, TJC may remember, Johnny Sorensen remember for sure, Impactor of the Transformers Wreckers. He was kind of a badass anti-hero type, and then of course you blur, as Mega J said, you blur the shades of gray. Suddenly in the 1990s comes along, and Wolverine is really considered cool, right? Ushered in with the era of grunge, and I guess you could say even before that, Mr. T was a little bit of an anti-hero type, or he had anti-hero tendencies, right? Batman kind of came out of that. I mean, is Batman an anti-hero though? I guess he is. Like when you come out of the Adam West era, he kind of is. Right. Deadpool is like the new epitome of anti-hero for the like breaking the fourth wall and all that. Stone Cold Steve Austin, I guess, if you're going wrestling references.
Or even, Black Adam was very much the new film trying to do that, I guess. Did you see Black Adam? It was kind of a mess.
I didn't. Gazz in the chat that talked about it with me, and I wasn't sure. Like, was I going to go just because it was Dwayne Johnson and because I'm watching the Young Rock series? Well, just because it's The Rock, right? He's on my list of GOATs for all time, which I've got to get Dole's thoughts on the GOATs, the greatest of wrestling, because I know who he loves for Batman and who he likes for superheroes and Kenner superpowers, but I never actually asked him who he thought the GOAT of wrestling was. I'm not saying it's The Rock. I'm going to say it's Bret Hart, but I'm going to say The Rock is up there in the conversation. But anyway, look, I mean, the other thing too that really, really gets me as far as bad guys are concerned, it's more fun to army build the bad guys than the good guys, if you ask.
Like I've seen far greater, but I have an army of foot soldiers, Mausers, stormtroopers. Like it's absolutely, you're 100% right. Or Cobra troopers. Like there's just 100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, for me, yes. If you look back here, this is like my army building shelf of like Cobra villains, right? Like, Snow Serpents, Crimson Guards, and all that. Like, you could get into like Marvel Legends, right? There's the hand ninjas. You could army build those, right? Like you mentioned Stormtroopers, Clone Troopers earlier. Transformers to some extent, you could do the Sharkticons, Alicons, and like Scourge in his sweeps. But like that was something that we probably, unless you were very fortunate as a kid, you never really got to army build. And now you can build those ranks because you either got the one Stormtrooper and that was it, and you killed him 100 times. Like, you killed him almost as many times as we killed the Ghost Rider car.
It's kind of funny that it works because I only had one Foot Clan member. I only had one Stormtrooper. And it's like only now as an adult, like, you have the luxury of having multiple of the nameless bad guys. And horde troopers too. Like that's a troop builder that vintage wise is so expensive. It's like cost prohibitive to army build those. But at least now with Origins, you can have a properly, fleshed out horde trooper army.
Yeah, I you know what? Follow me here, and I apologize for ducking out. I just got a call, but follow me here for a second, guys. Back in the day, an action figure was $2.50, $3, right?
Yes.
And even then, that was a lot of money, especially if you talk about your family budgets, putting dinner on the table, all this kind of stuff. $3.50 though, if you were good and you were one of these kids who like, oh my God, I have to have an army of these guys because they were on G.I. Joe, and I need all these bats, I need all these Crimson Guards, I need all these troopers, right? That was all hunky-dory. And you could do that if you wanted at $3.50. I don't know what's going on with companies today, right? If you're talking about economies of scale, imagine if, the one thing that you need to do as a company is, sell as many of these stupid things as possible. And they keep insisting on having army builders more or less the same price as like hero figures. And I just, in my mind, I'm like, what wouldn't you want to sell 30, 60, 100 of these things to, like multiple people who want to build armies? Because there are tons of guys out there who want there are tons of people out there who want to build these freaking armies. Put them in 4-packs, put them in 6-packs, put them in 10-packs, and just reduce the cost, right? To make it more enticing for us to build this freaking army. I mean, like that to me, I just never understood why company. Well, okay, we all know it's greed. At the end of the day, it's profits. Right? Sorry, greed is not the right word. It's profits, right? The bottom line is people will buy these things at the prices that I've seen people. Black Series Stormtroopers, like some people have 50 of these things. I'm like, how do you afford this? Like, are you waiting for the clearances at Target? Because whenever, but there's the problem. There's a catch-22. Every time I freaking go to Toys R Us, I'll see I'll see 5 Stormtroopers.
Brag,
right? I'm not bragging. Okay.
Toys R Us in Canada.
Every time we go to Toys R Us, basically, I see.
Hey, sir, can I have some more?
Oh man, I'm being publicly ashamed here.
Don't worry about it. No shame among friends. Right?
It's okay. We're only Canadians here. Oops, sorry.
I have to pay for my own health care. Okay.
Oh my gosh!
Whoops.
Hey, you know what though? When you go in, you get taken care of. Here's get you in, kick you out. Anyway, I'm just being
prescription and see you later.
But you know what? I'll go into a toy store. Okay, I'll go into a toy store. I'll see 5, like for instance, Ahsoka 501st Troopers, 5 of them. And actually, I did a video on this. This actually. I found like 10 of them. I go look for something else. I come back and they're all gone.
Damn.
Okay? They're all gone. And at the time, $24 a figure. Okay, $24 a figure times 10. That's $250.
Yeah.
I doubt very much. It was like 11:30 at night. There wasn't 10 people who walked in, grabbed 10. It was one guy, and I saw him running. I chased him down. If you guys find that episode, you guys are gonna get a kick out of it. I literally chased that guy down. I tried to
You're
catch
like
a
on the
Houston
street reporters like, sir.
I was gonna do what you just did to me. I was gonna say, do you need all of those? Do you really need all of those? Like, why did you take them all? Yeah, shame. What are you doing? You shouldn't be taking them all, man. You're a scalper. Yeah, that's what you are. You're a scalper. I was gonna do that, man. I was gonna. You should find that episode. That episode, dude. I literally, my face went. What the heck just happened? They're all gone. And I was like, my God, this guy spent $240 freaking on all these figures. I was like, that is a lot of cheese, man. That's crazy.
You know, I guess if you have it, you know, more power to you. Like I'll never begrudge someone if they want to drop that kind of money.
You know what? I've come to terms with the idea, and just like you, Jay, I realized after putting up this whole facade of scalpers and things. Mm-hmm. I made it a whole segment on my channel at one point. Afterwards, I started meeting more collectors, and I got the sense that they all had the same mentality. Eventually, they're like, I need to upgrade my collection. Mm-hmm. I love what I got here, but I need to upgrade it. So you know what? I'm going to sell the old toys I have to buy new toys. And as I started realizing, I was like, yeah, I can't keep pigeonholing everybody into this one little group. Oh, you're all scalpers. No, sometimes you don't know the people's situation. You don't know if you've lost your job. You don't know if your kid just got into an accident. You need money. You don't know what situation. And I literally stopped. And said, guys, we can't just pigeonhole everybody. Like there are different situations. And at the end of the day, this is your property. If you want to sell it, go ahead. Right, it's up to you. Now I have a concept of ethical selling. That's just me, right, and how I decide to sell things. But whenever somebody just puts it up, and this is my philosophy: if you buy a figure that nobody else can find and you put it on eBay for $300, yeah, I'm already gonna think something about you. Mm-hmm. But if you put it on eBay at a listed price for a bid and it goes up to $300. There's no arguing that.
Open market demand.
The market decided. Yeah. The market decided. Yeah. Right.
I personally, whenever I find something, I find the eBay sold price and then I list it for double that.
The true villain of the episode has revealed himself.
and no best offer option, right?
No best offer.
That is such a wonderful plan. My dear commander.
What we've sussed out on this stream is we've established a new villain for this channel, and we'll start a rivalry of good versus evil, because I think he wants to play the bad guy for once. If only I had a baseball team to root for against the Padres, then but the Blue Jays last won the World Series almost 30 years ago, so it's
Hey, you all have the Expos, right? So sorry.
Not me. I don't have Blue Jays or Expos really. Like I'm on the other side of the country, so
there's nothing over there. I guess you have the hockey team.
The Canucks, yeah, the very polarizing Canucks.
San Diego's won a World Series already, huh? No, they made it to the
No San Diego sports team has ever won a major.
Are you serious?
No, Chargers never won the Super Bowl. They did win an AFL championship. That doesn't really count. We had the San Diego Clippers. They never won when they were the San Diego Clippers. We had the Houston Rockets. They were the San Diego Rockets. They never won anything when they were in San Diego. And the Padres have never won.
They've been to the dance though.
We've been to the World Series twice, but have never won.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That's more than some. That's more than some teams. Some teams has never even got to the dance. Right. So.
We do have some Mariners fans up here because they're a couple hours south of us, and we do have some Seahawks fans. But like, in the NHL, when the Seattle Kraken became a team, we already had our Canucks. So
yeah,
that was always my rationale.
Do you all hate the Kraken? You're like,
they're trying to turn it into a rivalry, but they've only been around for a couple years.
Yeah.
Right. So like, look, the Canucks have been to the finals 3 times. They never won. Mm-hmm. Even with a 2-0 series lead in 2011, we still lost in Game 7 to the Bruins back in the day. Well, so
Canadians haven't won the cup. I mean, not to stoke any whatever, but Canadians, for having invented, and it's really their sport, When's the last time Stanley Cup was on your side? Was it 94?
93, yeah. And 94, the Canucks went to the finals and lost to the Rangers. So I've always been sore about that.
90, so 93, last time the Cup.
Yeah. The truth, the sad truth about that, if you're a conspiracy theorist anyway, truth is such an incorrect term. But if you're
complaining about how taxes are too high in Canada, so the good players want to play there or something.
We have the money here. It was like if you look at the Canadian, if you look at the Maple Leafs, some of the highest salaries in the entire league.
Okay, so
but they are.
The conspiracy theory is we don't want to win because we are making more money losing. It is the it's like think about the Boston Red Sox, right? Mm-hmm. They're such a huge team, and they have so much money. Mm-hmm. But the moment they won the World Series, there was actually, believe it or not, a downturn for their profit margins because half the city didn't know what to complain about anymore. It was so
they
bad.
lost what they hate.
It was so bad. Commentators were literally worried. Like the very next day, what are we talking about now? What are we talking about? They won, right?
Well,
they're like, it was they built a whole concept of negativity, and you could argue that certain YouTube channels are built on the same premise, right? Good news, like the old adage that all news is good news and bad news is better, right? That seems to resonate for a lot of people because a lot of people like to complain, right? And the Leafs,
I see the dull thing all the time from my Canadians. Well, it's all Canadian players.
That's what I was going to comment on, was that it doesn't matter who wins the Stanley Cup. A lot of half the team's Canadian. Most of the time, your captain's Canadian. So I see the argument, but I'm just not attached to those teams, right? It doesn't matter to me if the best players on the Canucks are Swedish, right, or American.
Exactly.
They're but mind you, I see his answer. Like if I'm arguing with somebody, I will use that. Right?
All Canadians have at this point. I'm sorry, Canada.
Yeah, and K-Dog, that was called Pro Stars, wasn't it? With Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan.
That
Pro
was
Stars,
yeah.
Pro Stars, yeah.
Pro Stars, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yes. Sorry. Were we talking toys and Saturday morning cartoons today? I completely forgot. Yeah. I've completely forgotten. It's okay because I was also a UFC fan for about 10 years. Would be still if I had more time to watch, but after around the time my son was born, within a year or so, I stopped watching UFC. Wasn't the friendliest thing to throw on television when you're raising a toddler in that era.
Yeah.
So, right.
I don't know. The fun thing about having, and I'm sure this could be the same case if you have a girl or whomever, but having two boys is you just kind of get into all the wrestling moves, or it's pile driver, it's you have your wrestling matches on the bed or whatever. So there is something about, I don't know, the WWE or just wrestling in general, just having kids. It's just doing all those crazy moves and stuff like that.
Yeah. Rough housing is the best when you're little.
Oh yeah,
because you can actually pick them up, right?
I'm just pile driver in the anyways.
Yeah, I tried putting my boy in the sharpshooter the other day, and he's like, "Stop it!" I'm like, "Okay, fine." So.
What's next on the list? Let's since we're getting back to toys, what
didn't we solve it? Evil villains are cooler.
Yeah, we basically did, right? Bad guys are too vanilla, Superman and all that. And Kayla says she's going to use that on her next vanilla ice cream joke. She's going to somehow relate it back to Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as villains are concerned, I mean, I don't know. Did I still have an agenda on this? Yeah, I guess I did. I mean, agendas go out the window when you got this much charisma on camera with these other two gentlemen. Jay speaks on behalf of the crowd, booing the charisma or lack thereof.
Just a bunch of geeks here, man. There's no charisma here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is there a bad guy you hated as a kid that you like now? That you like more now? I mean, it's kind of a hard one, right? I mean, for me, I just accepted the bad guys for what they were. So to me, it was a bad guy was Stone Cold Steve Austin in wrestling because he went up against Bret Hart, who was my guy. So to me, that was the villain. But down in the States, Stone Cold was the good guy. So and to me, he's aged a lot, because he has his podcast and his Broken Skull talk shows on WWE Network. I see him in a completely different light now, right? Even though was he really a true bad guy? I don't know, but to me, he's the one that aged better for me over the years compared to back then. Because I always cheered against him. I cheered against him when he went against The Rock, when he went against Brett. So
well, that's the thing about that too. I mean, I always saw Shawn Michaels as the ultimate heel, right? Because he took it away from Bret Hart, and just spit on his legacy at the time. And I shortly thereafter, like you got into the Attitude Era. I was never really into the Attitude Era. I don't know if I ever had a villain which I hated. I think Starscream would come the closest. I think a lot of people are just going to say Starscream because I really hated Starscream. I hated I hated the fact that he would try to betray Megatron, who he was supposed to be loyal to. And at the time, I really despised that kind of idea that someone was that ambitious to actually take over the Decepticons when they're trying to defeat the Autobots.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and saw the character, his untimely death, how he tried to come back as a ghost, and then later on, just his whole arcing journey. I guess I can relate to being older now. I can relate to Starscream for certain values that he holds, right? The fact that ambition, success, trying to better himself, right, to a certain degree. The backstabbing, no, but other than that, I think for me it would be Starscream. That's definitely the one.
I think I know I'm on the brick something thoughts here. It's like F Starscream.
Yeah, I see the comment in there. He's like F Starscream. It's all good, Brick.
But I appreciate how mature Mega J is because he's able to kind of see the things that maybe will make him less annoying. But I continually find him annoying.
I'm feeling old now. Mature. All of a sudden, we're back to mature now.
The Chris Latta screeching voice between Megatron and Starscream was always a thing.
Yes. And again, that's where Soundwave just had that cool ass. That was Welker, wasn't it?
Did he do Soundwave as well? I think he did. You're right. Because I always associate him with Megatron. I'm like, he did do Soundwave.
He did do Soundwave, right? And Megatron. He had that same raspiness, and they added a little bit of reverb, but pretty much that was him. Yeah. He went through a whole on a panel. I think it was BotCon or something. He went through a whole panel of how he did it.
At one of the past PulseCon, at this most recent one, where he did them. Did the voices live. It was really cool.
Yep.
Female villains. I wonder on this one. Baroness came to mind for me because she had that Worlds Without End two-parter where she was also a good guy, a turncoat, undercover good guy against Cobra. So maybe that's why I thought of her first.
I enjoyed the females because of that. Eva Lynn had an episode where she related to Tila. And I think that this is a sign of the times. Let's just put it out that way. Because of the female aspect of it, they were utilized as storytellers, and you could have the Baroness who almost turned on Destro when she found out she was being slighted, right? Yes. You had Eva Lynn who was stuck in the desert with Tila, so they had to cooperate together and actually get out of that situation, right? You had all these wonderful female characters who, in one way or another, could have turned on people. Like Zorana, she ended up having a relationship with Daltone, right?
Mainframe, right? Mainframe or Daltone?
Mainframe. That's right. And again, it's just easier because you feel empathy towards them throughout the series, and you find out they went through a lot as growing up. I mean, come on. Being siblings with Zartan and freaking thing, how could you not turn out to be what you are as Zorana, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I think Zorana for me because she was definitely one of those. The more we found out about her, I mean, she could become anybody she wanted to, right? And afterwards,
the Zartan Master of Disguise thing going. Yep. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I always dug the evil villain women because they're usually more brunettes, and I'm a brunette guy myself. So
it's okay. It's all right.
Emma Frost.
Emma Frost.
Yeah.
I was scanning my head through one, and you got it there, right? Right. Does Dark Phoenix count as she's a redhead?
She does, and she's a redhead.
Right? A lot of redheads, both good and bad. That's kind of like
Yeah.
That unpredictable nature. You know?
Borg Queen.
Oh, that's just wrong. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And those tentacles, man. All that Japanese hentai. What the heck? Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Redheads,
You
Mystique.
know, like in interviews, all the Star Trek designers were hentai freaks. You can tell. Freaking Okada there, he was like every other episode was like, yeah, I need more anime in this. It was absolutely crazy.
Or they're just trying to base it off Geiger, and like Geiger was
Oh
just
yeah, for sure.
penises nonstop, just nonstop penises. That's Geiger.
Oh,
Everything,
was waiting for something-
everything's a penis.
in Aliens, I was waiting for something phallic to show up. It like other than, but how much more phallic can you get than the thing grasping onto your head and just like impregnating you?
Right?
Like, come on.
Every
Get more
design.
vicious.
Anyway.
Now, on that sense, let's talk about that for a second. What about perceived enemies that are actually more animalistic, like the Brood or aliens? Like
The Brood is. Oh yeah. Sorry, I was
you-
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, do you judge them on the same level as traditional villains? Because
They're different.
When you think about it, it's their nature, right?
Yeah.
It's like the Flood from Halo.
And
Right.
it's usually the scarier thing is the humans that either enable or through their own greed or whatever unleash the more naturalistic or animalistic things that are going to bring about the human's doom.
Mhm. And
Dinosaurs, whatever. Like, I don't think those are bad guys.
Yeah, like I forget how the Flood and Halo were created. I should know this, but they were an example of like just another like organic, like techno-organic species that just devoured and killed everything in its path. But I couldn't understand what they were because they were so different from the traditional bad guys from that franchise. But there's a few of those where they introduce a third faction of villains, right? Where it's like it's not just the good guys versus the bad guys, where it's like, okay, there's this like area in between. It's either the gray area that's neither good nor bad, or it's this techno-organic gross thing that like they try to not force into the franchise, but they like bring it in there to like add another layer to the conflict. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
It's,
right? So
it's compelling. It's a different angle for the story for sure.
yeah. So what do you got coming up on Toy Geeks this Sunday, or have you are you still in the
no, it's way too far out to know what we're talking about on Toy Geeks. Like, is even this past week, the pre-order panic, I think was the title or whatever. Like, it was such a tough week to kind of find the core story, and I even solicited people in our Discord, like, throw the ideas, what do we got? And then that was picked within an hour and a half of before we went live. So not as full, like as ahead of when we go live as you are, Ken. You're far more structured. But
it is difficult. It is difficult. And like, even if you get it structured and you set it up, sometimes you go on and you're like, I think I ran out of things to talk about pretty quickly. I know, let's talk about sports.
Yeah. To me, it's especially Toy Geeks. I want it to be something that is what is on the minds of toy collectors right now. That should be what the topic is. For Geek Dad Life tomorrow, it should be tomorrow, my review of this bad boy.
Here, let me pull you up on solo layout here. All right, and you just put up a Mythic Legion's Krampus, or not a Mythic Legion's, a Four Horsemen Krampus the other day. So you've got this as well. All right.
I mean, this will be a shorter review. You don't have to talk that long about it, but I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped about this.
Yeah, I mean, some of those pre-produced, like, we go live quite a bit, but like those pre-produced ones take a long time just to get a few minutes of.
Oh yeah, like that Krampus video was almost 5 minutes, and that was 2 days straight, pretty much, of working on it. And it was almost like I had one way I was going about it on Monday, and I didn't like the way it was going, so I completely scrapped it and then like reformatted it to be more structured up. Because originally it was just going to be I had the mic set up and everything, and I was going to talk while I unboxed it. And then when I went back and watched as I was editing, I was like, I am falling asleep. This needs to be faster. So then I was like, all right, scrapping that, coming up with a script, and then I'm going to make a concise, focused review of this thing. or to try to answer that original question, which one would you go with? And I felt like the video turned out way better.
No, I enjoyed it, and I completely forgot that there were two different versions of Krampus, right? Because I'm still lamenting over missing out on the Headless Horseman, which I know they'll re-release because it's too popular. It's but because I was over in Victoria doing the toy show around that time, I completely missed it because I was setting up for the toy show. That was the same week of the PulseCon reveals that you folks did a bunch of did some video work on and some live streams on, and Toy Anxiety did some as well.
I think Mega J came on one of ours for PulseCon. That was fun.
That was the one where I think you asked. I think John had no electricity. You asked if I wanted to come on, and then I was like, you know what? I'm here at the arena. They're playing like music in the background.
It would have been great. It would have been great.
It would have been great, but like there's like copyrighted music there that like we would have had the stream shut down most likely if I had jumped on. So I was like, I don't know if I
maybe. I don't know. I think it'd been fine. But Mega J and I held it down pretty fine.
Yeah.
Right? I think
I was screaming at my screen a bit when you folks didn't know much about the Astro Mega Ship, and I'm like, we need John here to talk about the Astro Mega Ship, and I watched that whole season, and oh my god! But that's okay. That's just
fine. Okay,
no, you did fine because it's not like I could go on and talk about the Enterprise because I'm not a very good Trekkie, so I can't harp on you folks for not knowing season 6 of Power Rangers when I barely know season 1 of Next Generation myself. If we're talking sci-fi.
I find that if you have a little bit of knowledge about something, it's about the toy at the end of the day. And you know what, you talk about all the differences that you remember from like model kits, because there weren't really any really good I mean, there were some, but for like Star Trek toys are traditionally crap. I mean, you know what I mean? The
Playmates era, yeah.
The cool stuff.
Cover your ears. Cover your ears.
I said traditionally. That one, which I think I found at GameStop, I love all the sound effects and stuff like that. I'm really looking forward to this review because
yes.
And the fact that it comes with a stand, that was like my biggest problem with most bottle kits. Like, you're gonna hang them off your ceiling, like I don't know. I mean, like I'm cool with that if you like that, but the problem with hanging anything off your ceiling, within a week it's full of dust. That's one of the things I hate about hanging stuff off your ceiling.
That happened to me before too. Like I hang it on my ceiling and I'm like, oh, what's with all the dust? Yeah, Hans and
you just go shoop shoop shoop, and you're good to go.
Hans needs an explanation of what hentai is.
Bing! One of the freaking things comes off, and it's like on its side. I gotta get back up there.
Oh
my god! Google it.
No, Hans knows what that is.
Yeah, I think I wonder if Hans is pulling our leg on this one.
And
but
please,
Google it. Go incognito mode.
Not at work, please. Not at work. Not at work.
Okay.
And with the volume down, please mute the volume. Mute the volume.
As Ken goes onto his phone and just types it in.
Don't.
You know who the true villain is? I know who the true villain is, guys. The true villain is pre-orders. Pre-orders are the true villain because they sneak up on you from behind and then they drain your bank account right when you need the money. They take everything. Pre-orders are the true villains. I'm telling you right now.
There you go.
Are you listening, Big Bad Toy Store? So and we're still resolving the dork side issue.
Oh God, please.
Yeah, seeing a lot of new posts and new social media content on what's going on over there.
I think Valaverse just said they had to pull their exclusives to their.
He put up a video today, like a short video explaining that his stuff's going over to his warehouse. So.
But you know what, this economy and the situation we're found ourselves in, I mean, can we really blame anybody for having such difficulties in this time? I think what happened, truthfully, I don't want to get into this too much, but for me it's another they who shall not be named madballs manufacturer who really kind of gave sour grapes to a lot of people, and I think a lot of people are wary about different things that are happening right now.
Yeah, I think, there's this, for some of these things are a lot smaller operations, and for whatever reason, they probably live within a much smaller margin of success or failure. And if things go wrong, they can go really wrong really fast.
Heck yeah. I mean, I've been watching Nerdzoic, and Matt Matt says he's been going through hell. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
With all and like I said, the true villain is pre-orders. The true
Mhm.
villain appears to be pre-orders. Matt just got slammed with like $20,000 in pre-orders, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that cash flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who does? That's just crazy. And I can only imagine, how the heck does Big Bad Toy Store do it with their no money down policy?
They're getting much better rates. You know, you for Entertainment Earth and Big Bad, they aren't, if they're selling, Super 7 stuff at $38 like 2 weeks after it like they're getting better margins than even, because I have friends that get direct from like the factory or whatever, and when they get Super 7 figures, they're maybe like $3 or $4 in like profit that they can make off of it. But Entertainment Earth, they're selling those things like 20% off retail or 30% off retail. I mean, they're getting better rates than I think most smaller toy retailers will get.
100%. And as I understand it, EE is an actual distributor for most smaller.
They are,
yeah,
right. And BBTS, they buy in such huge volumes that of course they're comparable to a small Walmart. You know what I mean? It's crazy in terms of but they really are only one chain with like 2 different locations, right? So the fact that they've been doing this for so long, though, I think really gives them an advantage in the market. But anybody else, and again, I kind of crap on Madballs, right? And I'm not going to talk about it too much, but at the end of the day, you can only promise so much and deliver so much, right? So whatever's happening right now, it sucks, and I hope people can get their money back. And that's, I think, the one thing we can all hope for, right?
Yeah, we had a Canadian retailer shut down, probably not too far from you or Mega J. Outrun shut down, and they had to declare bankruptcy. And I lost some pre-orders stuff there too. And I heard from Chris about a month before he shut down, and he was hoping to get back on his feet. And now there's no getting a hold of him. And I don't want to hold ill feelings one way or the other on it, but sometimes these things, when they happen, it just sucks for everyone. Like I don't think anybody wins in that scenario, which is really unfortunate. So,
it's a successful building or business failure. There's no, I don't know, unless you're a billionaire, it doesn't matter to you. But for everyone else, it's not. There's no way to make that one clean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know we've hit our 90-minute mark, but we've got more viewers right now than I normally get on these streams. So if I'd known that, I would have set a like goal or something on this. Because
how many likes do we have right now? Do we need to hit one? How many people we got watching?
Well, then what do I do about the like goal? Do I give away? Am I supposed to give away something, or do I just?
Hold on. Let me mute it real quick. Hold on. I pulled it up.
Just have fun with it.
52 likes. 59 watching. I mean, that's actually pretty good. Like,
that's really good.
Like we were up to like 63 or something earlier. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, it's got to be the guests that I have on, because I go on and be like, I want to talk wrestling, and they'll be like, 7 people. You know what I mean?
I did post a link in my community.
Oh, you did? Okay. It doesn't always tell us when that happens. Like, even if you tag the creator, it doesn't always tell us when that happens. So maybe that's what happened too. Is you got a little bit of it, but I appreciate that. that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I try to, whenever I'm a guest on something, to share it there. I don't.
There it is.
I'm just a airheaded person in general, and I forget sometimes. But I generally try to do that. Yeah, we're at 60 likes now. Come on, I don't know. Let's hit 70 likes. All
right. Let's hit 70 likes, and then I don't know, like what happens? Like, do we get someone to sing like "Don't Stop Believing" or something like that if we hit 70 likes or something like that?
Who has the good voice that I do not?
Oh, I specifically picked something in the high tenor range so that I wouldn't get to sing it. How's your singing voice, Mega J?
You don't want
Living in a lonely world.
We should get Mad. You know what? You know what? We should get Mad Hatter to sing. Did you guys see his latest music video? That guy is crazy.
There we go.
Learn to fly again. Learn to be so free.
I love his work so much, but that one especially, just shot in black and white and having just the moody driving through LA shots. I love all of it.
He's got a really a certain personality. Like when he suddenly I call it, he ambushed us on that stream, Mega J, where all of a sudden he showed up as Did you see that where he showed up as Fred from Mattel and started giving a sales pitch about the Eternity playset? And I asked him afterwards. I'm like, it was on my bucket list to stream with you. Does that count, or is that like Mad Hatter in cosplay? And I think he just kind of LOL'd and said, "Well, we'll do a real stream together someday rather than just that." And I'm sitting, I'm like, okay. I'm like, does that count if I officially stream with Hatter, or is that I'm like, to me that's cosplay Hatter, that's alter ego Hatter.
Yeah, it's like the Andy Kaufman thing. It's just like, is it Andy Kaufman or one of his various characters? And if you're
Flipper Frank,
it's Flipper Frank, yeah, for sure.
Oh man, Flipper Frank, there's some cool stuff on there, right? I will say.
You know what? I wish we could be as free as Hatter. I mean, you know, he doesn't give two Fs. I mean, seriously, he will say the things that he says sometimes, like they're not shocking exactly, but it's different. I'll put it out there. It's probably different than any toy channel I've ever seen before. You know what I mean? He
can really carry it with his personality. That's the thing. Like when you look at him, it's all very organic, and I don't think just anyone can go pull that off.
No.
Right. But I like what you said. Like he doesn't care. He puts it out there, and whatever the reward or consequence is, what it is. I get wrapped up in the consequence a lot. Like, what if somebody doesn't like it? What if this person gets offended? What if? And it's like you can't control that, right? Yeah. Because somebody could literally say, "Oh, I'm offended that you wore a blue hoodie and you wear glasses." Like they could be offended by that, and you can't control it.
I mean,
but
I
try to.
It, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, but you know, like it's all. In your case, I know you'll forgive me, so it's okay. You know, all I got to do is send flowers over there and, you know, sing Don't Stop Believing on Discord, and you'll let it go. Like that's but true. In your case, the formula works, right? So yeah.
But that's what I tell anybody, and that's why I'm so thankful being a part of this community. Is everybody has their own voice, and even if we could do a review on the same figure, and we have at times, but we each have our own. It's not. In no way, shape, or form is it the same, and it's all like I would watch all of them just because, like if Mega J does something, he's gonna find something that I wouldn't necessarily notice about a figure, or the way Hatter approaches, he'll create a Gummy Legs Gummy Bears parody song that just like Colleen will know. Like sometimes if she's not here, but like if I'm just driving in the car, I'll be like Gummy Legs, like there's just everybody or Ken, like your video on Deathsaurus, not Deathosaurus. Like I learned so much from that. I actually appreciate a character and toy I didn't give two craps about before. So I don't know. Everybody brings something to the table that I don't know.
And I appreciate every time that you and John have pumped that video on Toy Geeks, because I'm looking at the views on that one, and it's more than my usual, possibly because of the topical.
Video, I have stock in that one, so really I'm trying to goose up the numbers.
Okay. Okay. So that's I wonder. I'm looking at my ad revenue. I'm like, I'm shorted a couple cents here. What's going on?
I won't say anything, but yeah, I actually I'm siphoning. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm the evil villain the whole time.
Yes. You're in character right now. You're not breaking kayfabe at the moment. Yeah. I mean, that one is less than a week, and that one we'll see. I think they're gonna hit that second stretch goal of 17,000 and unlock the throne.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, like
last time we did a chart, it's going to hit the second goal. I think.
Yeah.
What are we at? 6 days out? We're like 6 days out.
We're 5. I think we're 5 days out, maybe, or 6 now. Is it? I think it ends at the end of the day, Monday, so it's like 5 and change for hours.
And we're what, 14,000, 15,000? Like we're getting up there. I
think we're at 14,000 now. I'm pretty sure we've unlocked the cannon, and that throne. We will want to see him with that, because he was always in that throne in the Victory cartoon series. But I was talking to Shellback Toy Rewind because he's a big Turtles guy. There was
Mega J. You are sexy. You're handsome.
Oh, sorry. I thought I said something that was a little. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yes. Keep stroking it, because
yeah,
that's what we all want, right? You want to stroke? You want me to stroke it, right?
Well, that's the Mega J only fans. You got to pay extra for that kind of action.
I got to jiggle that stuff, man.
You can start by subscribing, and then he will lead you over to his end of the promised land. Right. See, there you go. Like personality trumps topics. You could listen to all three of us and Hatter and separately about the same. And I appreciate that. Right. But like I was talking to Shellback, Toy Rewind earlier, and I said he was thinking about changing up his video, like adding to his video style. And Robert, if you're watching this, I hope I'm not airing a private conversation, but we're talking an hour ago, and he was like, I don't want to put out something everyone else has put out. I'm like, yes, but you ever notice that if we watch a history of video, we don't care who puts it out, we still want to get it, right? You know, like Toys That Made Us treaded a lot of old ground that we already knew, but we still wanted it, right? You know, when Jay Bartlett does his toy hunts and toy related stuff on Action Figure Adventure, it's stuff we've seen, but we wanted to see it in the Jay and Rob production value style, and that's how we enjoyed it, right? So
see that you've hit the nail on the head, though. You know, Ken. The reality is we're all just talking heads here, but it's what we bring to our communities that really differentiates why people want to engage with us. And you know, lessons learned. Like I said, for me, I'm now getting back into the idea of commenting, right? Because what a lot of people like about my live streams is because I'm an idiot and I literally will read everybody's single comment. It takes an hour, but I'll do it anyway, right? Until I get swamped, because there are times where I have 200 people in the chat and I just can't do it. But what I do is I took a page, and you know, again, we help each other, right? I sniped a page out of Jay's you know, book and said, okay, I'm at least gonna say, hey, who's in the house? Okay, you're in the house, you're in the house, you're in the house. When it gets overwhelming, you have to pivot, right? You have to make do. Because, you know, my shtick, right, on my regular live streams is, okay, hey, you got to comment, and I'll reply to you. But when I do a live stream, for instance, like a purchase a video, it's impossible. There are like 200, 300 people in the chat, like they're all yelling at you at the same time. So people are like, what are you doing, you idiot? Like log off and log back in. It's like, yeah, okay, I should have realized that. Thanks, guys. But I can't read that. I'm trying to buy something here. there's
a lot that goes on, right? And yeah, we all take ideas from one another, as far as YouTube ideas, video ideas is concerned anyway.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, is like, you wouldn't be upset that Steven Spielberg took a lot of his concepts and ideas from movies that he watched or whatever. Like, don't ever feel bad if you want to use an idea that I did. Like, I don't own ideas. Like, if you think it's cool, take it.
I was tempted, but I would have needed John on here as well to like do like a parody of your Toy Geeks intro. And like you said, like I get you both on, and you don't know this, and I was gonna like flash up a video that goes, Toy Connections presents TKO Live, a toy talk show. Tonight we gank the introduction right out from under two other YouTubers. We do it with them on camera. We don't apologize. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And then I put you two on camera and say, bathroom break, see you both later. So, I thought about doing that, but I would have needed John here if I was going to do that.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That was a good.
I like that.
Good bastardization mockery. You know?
Oh, that was great.
That was great.
I would have loved it.
Yeah. So now I can't do it. Now that I've
you can
pull it out of the bag.
You just wait long enough. Yeah. I will forget about it because I have the memory of a goldfish sometimes, and you'll have me on 6 months from now, and then you'll do it, and you'll still get me.
Yeah, but the day I invite you, John, and Ralph on the same day, you'll get suspicious. You're like, what's he pulling here? And then suddenly I just leave for the stream and say, oh, I just set y'all up for
it's
right. Right. Yeah, April Fools, I have a toy show to be at Kayla, so I'm not sure if a TKO will happen that weekend, but that would have been
okay. But I've never done a toy show on April Fools, but like I would worry about all the jerks to be like, oh, I'll buy that, April Fools. Like,
oh my goodness, you're right. Like I've got a 2-day event to attend that day, and I swear there's gonna be people doing that.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, sure, I'll pay what you're asking. April Fools.
April Fools, here's half, and then they walk away, ha ha ha, or something like that.
To me, it's like the one I hate the most is when they say, you're selling a vintage thing and it still has the vintage price sticker. I was like, oh, so it's only $5? I'm like, God.
Yeah, I cringe a little bit. Like people have done that to me in the past, and I'm like, I know it's supposed to be funny, but I've heard that joke. I heard that joke 30 minutes ago. I heard it last week. I heard it last show. So anyway.
It's kind of like I try to do the dad jokes, like, when eating or going somewhere and there's no price. I was like, oh, I guess it's free.
Yeah. I've had that
Or
I've had price tags fall off of stuff at toy shows before.
or like I've cleared off my plate and the waiter or waitress comes back and is like, did you enjoy your meal? I was like, no, I hated it.
Yeah. Anyway,
63 likes, everybody. Come on, smash that like button. We're so close. We're so close.
I don't know what the good goal is, but I do have to get going though.
It was
soon.
yeah, I was gonna say that
70.
I've got errands to run today, and I got a kid to pick up from school in just over an hour. But like, the time just flew today. Like, I swear, like I'm looking hour 45. I'm like, feels like it's been 15, 20 minutes. So.
See, Ken, and you were worried. You were worried. We got this.
We got this. We got this. It's like this all the time. He's got to go. Psh, psh, Ken, don't worry about it.
You were like, Dole said he's not coming on because he's too busy because he's too famous to do a show. And...
Yeah, he's working with us in the background, and which is actually, if you think about it, it's actually kind of cool. It's almost better that way because it's like he will do anything to listen to us, kind of thing. All right.
Exactly. Every dad, sure. Like again, being a dad now, like I have to hold it back. I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I want to, but. Yeah.
My kids hate the, it's like, Daddy, I'm hungry. I was like, oh, I'm Daddy. Nice to meet you, hungry. Stop it. I hate that joke.
I love it. Anyway, gents, any final thoughts or anything you want to let the crowd know you're up to before we bid adios? And what's the word? Hasta luego?
Hasta luego.
Yeah. Anything you want to plug at the end here before we bid everyone?
Again, tomorrow, my Enterprise video. I'm curious to see how this video does. I don't know. Mega J, did you do one on the Enterprise? I don't know if I missed that.
I haven't done one on the Enterprise. I found it in the wild, and I was just tinkering around with it, and I was like, God, I got to get this thing. So I'm very excited to find out what the new one has to offer. And I saw your video on the pros and cons of the TNG figures. I thought that was brilliant. From the 1990s to today. I thought that was brilliant. I'm seriously on the fence because, like you said, you can pick them up for next to nothing on eBay, right? So yeah. So that to me is
we're just at a toy show. I mean, I'm sure Ken, like, were there boxes of those 90s Playmates TNG figures for like $2 or $5?
They're always right to this day still see them at toy shows all the time because they're, I don't know, like they're quirky, they're fun, but are they as desirable as other toys? I'm not sure. Like that could almost be like another stream, like secondary, secondary lines.
There were so many adult collectors then, Trekkies then, that just kept them in box and bought so many of them. That there's just Trevor. Same as like Star Wars, like 90s Star Wars stuff. Same thing. So many people bought them and just kept them in package that the secondary market prices now are just dirt cheap.
Oh, for Power of the Force, yeah.
They were going because they knew how much the price for the vintage Kenner stuff was going. And they're like, this is going to, I can't tell you how many grownups I knew at the time as a kid toy collector and seeing grownups be like, this is my retirement or whatever. And I think boxes of them still all over the place.
Yeah.
71. 71.
Hey, we did.
Whoa,
71.
Did we set 70 as the goal?
70 was the goal.
70
yeah, I'm just gonna say that I think Zazel logged in on 6 different accounts just to shut us up and be like,
I'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll take it any which way we can.
Yeah.
Now you got to do something, Ken. You gotta sing karaoke or
karaoke.
You gotta do the full Monty, man. You gotta do the full Monty.
An Oscar, sing the Oscar Mayer Wiener song or something like that, or just
you gotta make Kayla happy. She was.
Or here, I'll give you the background music to Toy Geeks, and you can do your impression of it again. All right, you ready? Okay, music's gonna start in 3, 2, 1.
Toy Connections presents TKO Live, a toy talk show. Did the music die?
So you're probably just subbing.
No,
oh, okay, yeah. Thing, blah, blah, blah. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. That was terrible. The first take was way better than that.
You should have left the mic where it was. It was so hot. It was ridiculous. You were peaking like crazy.
Oh, did you get about a bunch of reverb on
No, it was fine. It was fine. It was good. It was charming.
That was awesome. That was so precious.
Oh,
You know
I'll
what?
do the
We should
Macaulay
just
Culkin for you.
We should just get a bunch of creators together and just
Mhm.
try to and just do impersonations of each other. I think
Ooh,
that would be
yes.
so
like that.
crazy. Because like you know how Mad Hatter did. He's like welcome to another Mad Hatter review. Right? He just like
That
comes
was
on.
pretty good. That was a good Nier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right? Or the music he's got to start, right? Or hey, what's up, guys? Mega J here. I'm going on a toy hunt, and like just go into like the girls' aisle of all the pink stuff, and just
Oh
right.
man,
And I'm gonna watch the view count just drop off right here. Happy April Fools.
You can see the peaks. You can see the peaks and hills. You can see how they dip and fall. It's crazy.
All right. Well, gentlemen, this has been absolutely a blast. I am actually a little ticked off at how much time's gone by because I feel like we just started. You know, I got to do a bastardization mockery of a toy podcast intro. I got to get Mega J to stroke his beard. We got to talk about sports of all things and something about 80s cartoon toy villains. So. Yeah,
double fisted approach.
Double fisted approach. All right, and
Okay, we're gonna get shut down. We're gonna get shut down so bad.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end broadcast before we shut things down.
I'm gonna do a when it's time to go. I'm gonna do the what's it called
or black
the Triple
only
H.
beards, only beards.
I'm gonna do the Triple H. You know when he goes up the
oh the water splash thing, right? With Motorhead playing in the background. Oh man. I had so much freaking fun today.
This was great.
Gentlemen, everybody, subscribe not just only to Mega J Retro, but to his MJR Collector Toy Hunt channel as well. Get on Geek Dad Life and Geek Dad Life 2, both channels, so you get both Toy Geeks and Screen Geeks. Subscribe here if you already haven't to this particular channel. Smash that like button, and we will see you all soon. Whenever that happens to be. Oh, and Zazel Streamathon. We got Streamathon this weekend. We got 6 different channels. Slaughterhouse, Go Figure, Island of Misfit Toy Collectors, Treasures for Trigger, Slaughter Daughter, and myself will be doing a 6-hour fest starting at 6 p.m. Eastern until midnight. So join us for that as well. So I better sleep well the night before. But all right. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on.
Of course.
And
Absolutely.
we will
Anytime.
bid you all farewell and take care and have a good one.